welcome to the NATE Clubhouse chat on skills, the skills program. As you may have heard, this is being recorded and hopefully within a week or so will be available on the NATE YouTube channel. And anybody that pops in later on and wants to catch the whole thing, or if y'all want to see it again, it'll be there and obviously be there for new folks. Let's see if I can.
And did I hear you say you do this every month?
Well, I said this month. Okay. No, it's not a monthly.
Oh, okay. I was like, dang, I missed something.
Let's see if I can. Oh, that works. Okay. Today's topics we're going to cover is just a quick program overview, and then we'll look at how skills help test your training, some of the reasoning behind the recent rule changes, evaluation criteria, what is a pass and what is a fail based on the current rules, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of time for questions. And if you want to interrupt and ask questions as we go, that's perfectly fine. We view the NATE Skills program. It was developed as a great way to achieve one's training goals, with the focus is definitely on the foundation skills that work across all the NATE games. It's a way to test to see if you and your dog are ready to, do more advanced training. And it's a great way to get some recognition while you're waiting for your dog to turn 1 and be able to officially participate in the games. There are 3 categories for skills: send, push, and directional cues. And within those categories, there are 3 levels of difficulty, levels 1, 2, and 3, 3 being the most difficult. And may not be apparent, but a dog could submit any category. A team does not have to complete level 1s before they submit their level 2s. The only catch on that is that to be eligible for a ribbon, the skills ribbon, you have to have completed all 9 of the skills. Any questions on that? All right. This program actually began in 2015, and Monica and her good friend JoJo were the first to earn the level 1 skill certificate, so we congratulate her. Obviously, in the past 11 years, the rules have been modified and refined over the years. There is no age limit for dogs participating, so as I alluded to, if your dog is not yet 1, they can still be participating in the NATE Skills program and earning certificates. The participation has varied over the years, but it jumped significantly in 2021, actually the start of 2022. NATE decided to drop the fee for skills from $10 per skill to only $5 per skill, which made it a lot more affordable for a lot of folks. And that was also the same time that we introduced the skills award ribbon for achieving all 9 of the skills. And just as a nice to know, retroactively, we awarded 9 dogs who had earned the skills award before we had the ribbon. They got their certificates after we initiated the award. This is just a graphic that shows participation. For those who are looking at tiny screens, we start with 0 at the bottom on the axis and go up to 300. And starting at 2015 through 2025, so it's 10 years worth of data, we had quite the bolus of submissions for certificates in 2023, nearly 300 certificates issued, and I think there was 30 some, close to 30 skills awards that year. Hit the right button. Now let's get into the meat of the matter a little bit. Field setup. This is from the NATE rulebook. If you look on chapter 14, that's all about the skills program. General rules apply to all categories and all tests. Obviously for push, you'll want to use a ball, but for send and directional cues, you may use a ball, baskets, cones, boxes, whatever seems appropriate. As just a personal aside, I wouldn't recommend using balls for the send and the directional cues because I think it makes it significantly harder for the dogs, particularly the young dogs, to resist pushing when they shouldn't be. On the third point, mats of any form are not allowed in testing. They're great for training, but not allowed in skills testing. As with the games, you may use treats, toys, praise, touch, all things to let your dog know how pleased you are with their behavior and activities. One, if you look down at the bottom, caveat to that is that the dog must be completely within the handler box before he gets rewarded. That's the same as it is in the games. The handler box is standardly 25 foot by 5 foot as required in section 5.9, same as the games. However, there is no goal required. And for the push, all rules in chapter 4 and 6 regarding ball size apply. In other words, the ball should be appropriately sized for the dog, and things such as adding sand to the ball is still not allowed. And as again, additional, I had a question recently about distance markers. There's nothing in skills field setup that requires distance markers to be visible, but particularly if you're wanting somebody to evaluate your skills online via video, distance markers are highly recommended so that the evaluator can affirm that you have the setup correct. Questions on that? All right. Setup changes. This is one of the big changes, and it took me just a little bit to get my head around it, and I realized it wasn't that hard. 5 feet has been added to all the distances prior to the first of the year. So if for level 1, the first object and send was supposed to be 10 feet from the front of the handler box, it is now 15 feet from the back of the handler box. That change was made so that setting distances was consistent, or would be consistent with the games, because everything is measured from the goal line, which is the equivalent of the rear of the handler box. There is no real difference for the dogs in terms of how much work or effort or difficulty to perform any of these skills, because the distance that they're working, they don't know what we changed where we're measuring from. It's still basically 10 feet from the front of the handler box, for instance, for level 1, that you're directing that dog. Questions? All right. The push test. This is in section 14.3. The balls are set at either 20, 30, or 40 feet, depending on the level of the test. This is to see if the dog understands the basic task of bringing the ball back to you. And does that dog have reasonable control of the ball? Does it go all over the place and take a long time to get the ball back, or does it just bring it back to you? The times are range from 10 seconds to 20 seconds to complete the task. And it's really about it in terms of test setup. Moving on, test steps or setup. This test begins with the dog sitting behind the ball it's going to push to you. Now, and I say sit, position behind the ball, because the dog can be sitting, standing, down position, whatever you prefer. It just has to stay there until you as a handler on video walk back to the handler box and then cue the dog to push the ball to you. That cueing of the dog is when the time starts, not how fast you can walk back from the ball and the dog. Judging criteria is the dog must hold their position behind the ball while the handler returns to the handler box and cues the push. And then of course they have to push the ball to you under the recommended or maximum time. I've got a couple of videos of what not to do, and I would hope that nobody would think to submit this anyway, but just to be clear. And I'm going to need to change my share screen here for a second, so bear with me. Application. I only have 5 of these. This goes by fast. I'll go ahead and run it a couple of times through for you. Can you all see this? Okay, don't submit this. If your dog doesn't sit behind the ball, try again. If the dog pushes the ball before the handler gets back to the box, try again. All right.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can you look back at your dog while you're leaving them?
Why not?
Okay. Can you tell your dog to stay multiple times while you're leaving them?
I don't know why not.
Okay. It's like rally. You just keep telling them, just do what you're doing. You're okay.
Yeah. When we get to directional cues and send with the positioning of the dog, we'll run into a little issue there with telling them again. But in push, I don't see a problem with that.
Cool. Thank you.
Did I hear another question?
Hi, Sandy.
Somebody asked me? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Karen.
Hi. Sure. So, a question on treats. So, of course, we can only treat the dog when they're back in the handler's box, but can you use a treat to say, lure your dog into a sit behind the ball?
Nutritionist Stacey Ellis is optimistic about
I don't think so, because you would be showing a treat on the field.
Excuse me?
I would think not, because you would be showing, the evaluator or the judge that you have a treat out on the field.
Right. So that is a absolute no. Can you hold your treats in your hand while you're calling your dog back? Or do they have to be in your pocket or in a container?
Chris, we do away with the luring thing, or Margaret? One of them's gonna chime in here.
Yes. You can hold, if you're in the handler's box, you can have your treats in your hand.
You can, okay.
Yes.
But
Not on the field.
Not on the field.
so you can have your treats in the hand. If you're
In the handler's
showing
box.
it, can you show the treat to the dog?
Yes.
From the handler's box, you can? Okay.
Oh, Chris, stop me if I've said wrong, but I believe that is correct.
Okay.
I don't have the rules in front of me.
Oh, sorry about the barking.
You're only forgiven if you tell me what kind of dog you have.
There she is.
Oh, a Ouija Elkhorn.
All right.
Oh, sweet.
Get back to the right screen here.
That's Jeep. She's a Kazond.
All right.
He's smaller.
All right. If there's no more questions on send, we'll move, or on push, we'll move on to the send test. Again, instead of being 10, 20, and 30, distances are now from the back of the box at 15, 25, and 35. And the times are still the same, 15, 25, and 30 seconds to send your dog out position behind the object. And again, the tests begin with you and the dog in the handler area. You can send your dog from either side. This is, you only have to perform the test from one direction, so pick the one that your dog does best. Send the dog out, and they should stop on the opposite side of the object, and they should stop for anywhere from 2 to 3 seconds, and this is a new requirement. And I will mention here that the subsequent videos you're going to see, for examples, do not include a 2 to 3 second pause. And that's because this is such a new requirement, and the videos do not come into Nate for evaluation. They go directly to whoever you have evaluating them, or it's done in person. So consequently, we just don't have samples to pull for this presentation. So that's my excuse, and that's what I'm sticking with tonight. The criteria when you send the dog out is that the dog's nose and at least half their body must be behind the object and facing the handler. And, in bolded, the dog's position must be achieved without redirection.
So it doesn't have to be a ball.
No, in fact, I recommend not being a ball. It can be a cone, as I've got in this image, a box.
Cool.
Yeah, because you don't, like say, these young dogs are new to the sport dogs, don't need to be overly challenged by having a ball that is just, that's almost their reward sometimes to get to push the ball.
A question.
Yes.
You mentioned redirection. So when the dog goes behind the ball, if they go a little bit to the left or the right, you're not allowed to redirect them to the center?
That's correct. But I'll have more on that coming up, which I think will help answer your questions.
Okay.
Are they marked off for not being dead center?
No, it's either a pass fail. Either the evaluator believes that they have lined up appropriately or not. In this particular case, this is my little queso boy. He is lined up perfectly behind the object, but you might notice in a cone, the top, in this image, he doesn't look like he's 50. I mean, there's no way to put him 50% behind the object if you're judging by the top of the cone. But 50% behind the object is a little bit dependent on the object. With this cone, we're going by the base of the cone. And by that rule, little queso is more than 50% behind the object. With the smaller dogs, we also are allowing or suggesting a little leeway because they have a tendency to want to look around an object. So if the object is taller than the dog and the dog's peeking out from the side, I wouldn't fail that dog necessarily. And just a reminder again that all pauses are 2 to 3 seconds. And this can be any position, standing, sitting, or downs. All right.
All right, this is a stupid question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Can you use a target, like a coaster, to show them where you want them? No. Okay. That's what I thought.
With no mats. Fine for training, but not for the actual skills exam.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I had a teacher once that always told me there was no such thing as a stupid question. The dog should stop so the object is directly in line between the handler and the dog. So queso is sitting off to the side here, but if the handler was off to the right a little bit, he would be in line with the handler, and that would be a fine position for him to stop in. The next video is going to show the impact of camera angle on being able to judge whether the dog is actually stopped correctly. And joy for you, I get to go figure out how to share a different screen. But I do get better as time passes. Okay. That's looking from behind the goal. This is the opposite end. And you see how he's lined up?
Away. Center. Here. Good job. Good boy.
And we have one more angle.
Away. Away. Center. Good boy. Good boy.
And we thank Chris Roeder for the example. You want to see that again or move on?
So is that what the test looks like? That dog was a test and that dog passed that test?
That was from a test prior to the 2 to 3 second rule. So aside from not stopping quite long enough, it would have passed the test. But
Cool.
it was I think a level 1 test, a level 2 test, and a level 1 of each, just going one direction. They have to go, both directions for the complete thing.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Back to
I think
you.
I've been making this harder for myself. I'm going to do some videotaping soon because my dog can do that easy. Glad I'm here. Thank you, everybody, for being patient with me.
Well, and I thank you all for being patient with me flipping back and forth on these slides. See if I got the right one. I do. All right. Oops. Okay, redirection. Redirection refers to signaling the dog verbally or with gestures to reposition more accurately behind the object after the dog has initially stopped near an object. It doesn't mean you can't tell the dog 6 times to keep going out to that object. Now I get to switch back here again. Whoops. There we go.
So you should be able to send your dog one way or the other, and they go out to the first targeted noun box or cone or whatever, and they go into position, and they should be able to do that with one cue.
One cue to stop.
Okay. I don't understand that statement. You can tell them to go, 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 but then when they get there and you say target or what,
Target up, line up, whoa, whatever.
one time, and then they should stop and wait for the next cue.
Correct.
Cool. Thank you.
I've got
Can
a
I
couple
ask a quick question for you?
Go ahead.
This is going a little bit back to targets on the field. I'm working indoors on mats, and when it comes to like the push test or anything using a ball, I almost have to put just a small lid under the ball to hold the ball in place. It's not a target for my dog. It's just to keep the ball from rolling with any like kind of air breathing movement in the room. Because I can't get the ball to hold still enough to line my dog up without it rolling over to the wall in the building that we're in. Would that get dinged for being a target on the field?
No, but I don't think so. We're
Okay.
allowed to use stabilizer rings.
Oh, so that would be, okay.
That would be a
My
stable
stabilizer ring right now is a cottage cheese lid, but
If you always fed the dog off that lid, that would be a little bit on the cheating side, but
I never feed the dog off that lid. Actually, they've only come in to hold those stick and balls in place.
I use PVC
No.
squares to hold the balls. Is that okay?
Well,
use what?
PVC. I'll show you.
Margaret, do we have any rule that says it has to be the stabilizer we described?
That's a good question. I don't remember what the exact wording is. Let me look here.
I don't want to be a complicating factor, but I did like 20 videos the other week to send in for skills one, and I was like, I don't know if any of these are going to pass. So I'm glad we had this meeting. It was well timed.
So I made PVC little balls. They're like 5 inches by 5 inches. And they just use 1/2 inch PVC and then the elbows. And they sit there and the ball just sits right on the inside. So they don't roll around.
Yeah.
Cheap. Cheap and
And
easy.
can do. Can do.
On these videos, the first time I redirect the dog, it's very subtle. It's just a little hand wave. And then on the second direction, I'm clearly waving her to go back to the cone where she needed to be.
Can I interrupt?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm on the paragraph that talks about the ball stabilizers. And the first paragraph says, you can use a stabilizer, to keep your ball from rolling away. Second paragraph describes them. It says, stabilizers should be made of tubing or hose and connector piece as described in the following table. Tubing in the appropriate outer diameter and length must be used for the ball size, but only 1/2 inch tubing should be used for balls in the mini and extra small class. The stabilizer rings required may vary based on the playing surface. And then it has more description about how to make the rings. So it would appear our rules are pretty specific about wanting them to be made out of tubing. If you needed to make them out of something else, I think a field modification or a field or performance modification request would be needed.
That means my PVC
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it does sound like that based on the reading there.
Cool. I'll make it for later. These work really good for training and they're cheap.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we could theoretically send in something and get a field modification for it if we wanted to.
That would be the only way to be able to use something that doesn't meet the description in the rules.
I like the tubing myself, but
Yeah.
I've had some very innovative students who made some on their 3D printers, which I think are pretty cool. But it's like, well, probably wouldn't use them in a trial or setting, but maybe in the future we could send something in to get a field modification if it came up.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
When Treibball was created, there was no such thing as 3D printers. So everybody who is in control of Treibball, we get together and go, hey, look at these 3D printed tubes. Maybe we should allow those. That's how change happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how we settled on only that configuration, but that is what the rules have described for us. All right. The second half of this slide talks about what happens if the dog repositions himself and you're standing there like a statue and your mouth is sealed. That's not a bad thing. And I've got a good example of a dog that does just that.
Mike, center. Mike, center. Mike, center. Here, come on. I'm getting so excited. Mike.
Any questions about that? All right. Time out again while I change.
Oh, hey, Sandy, can I ask a question about cueing the dog to sit?
Yes.
So that is actually giving a second cue, but that's okay if they.
Because the dog was already settled, and all I did was say which behavior I want him to have: sit, stand, down.
Okay.
I've quit doing that, but that's what I did 6 years ago.
So if you quit doing that, what do you do instead?
They just stand there.
Okay.
I don't change the I don't ask them to change their position from what they want to do. I think I only have one more example slide after this one. Directional cues. Since we spent so much time talking about position and redirection on send, all of those issues apply also to directional cues. This is a very busy slide, and I apologize that if you have a small screen, you're not going to be able to see it. But basically, it summarizes in one screen what the differences are between level 1, 2, and 3 for directional cues. The first difference is level 1 is only 2 cones, level 2 is 3 cones, level 3 is 3 cones. But the pattern is different between level 2 and 3, and the timing is different. And of course, level 3 is also the furthest out. And test steps are different. In level 1, with just the 2 cones, you're moving the dog from one cone to the next and then back to the handler box, and then reversing direction, going the opposite direction. In level 2, there are 3 objects, and instead of just moving between 2 objects and coming back to the box, you're moving between 3 objects sequentially, getting your pause at each stop, and then bringing them back, and then reversing direction. And on level 3, you're sending them from either side of the corners to the middle object and then back to the object you started with.
So like in level 1, you have 30 seconds to start and complete, including those pauses.
Yes, but that's just one direction. You get 30, the time is for each direction.
Okay.
You don't have to do both directions in the time stated. So it's 30 seconds per direction. And this should also be continuous. We've had questions before whether somebody could video, going clockwise one day and the other day, come back another day and do counterclockwise. Ideally, the test should be all done on one video. And let's see. The criteria: did the dog stop 2 to 3 seconds with the nose and at least half the body behind the object and facing the handler? And did they do that without redirection? The second thing is a new item we've added, and that is that the movement of the dog should be laterally, more or less straight between objects. If the dog excessively dips down or dips back to the back of the field before coming to the next object, more than 5 feet, we're going to fail that dog. We didn't have this rule before, and theoretically, it would have been possible for the dog to come all the way into the handler and go back out to the next object because there wasn't any criteria on that movement. So that's why we did that.
So you're not allowed to say wait once they get to the first object and they're on the other side and they're facing you. You can't say wait to get that 3 seconds. They have to learn to go out and wait for 3 seconds as a part of the chore.
You can use your command as the dog's approaching the object to if your command is stop, wait, I mean, this one and don't go anywhere, I think that's fine.
So like if I say, let's say my cue is target. Target means go out and get to the other side of the object and face me. So I say target from here, my dog knows he's got to go out and he's got to get into the other side of the object and face me.
Right.
Then at that point, I can't say wait. At that point, he needs to just wait for 2 to 3 seconds.
I personally think you can say wait, because you're not redirecting the dog. You're just telling them to stay there.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Or repositioning the dog.
Would the wait then be kind of the same thing as telling them to sit at that point?
Sit, wait, down,
Stay.
stay. Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard a lot of different terms for lining up behind the ball and waiting on the next cue. Okay, bear with me one more time here. Okay, hit the screen. This is just a quick video that shows a dog not going straight from one object to the next. And there's a lot of errors on this particular example. Not only did she come in too far, but then she went back to the wrong cone.
Okay, so that brings up a whole new thing. Can you go back to the other cone?
No.
I mean, if you don't stop, would it be kind of the same thing as
Yeah, that's repositioning. Yeah. This is a very good example of what not to do. All right. I believe that's the last video, so we won't have to flip back and forth anymore. Yep, there it is. I'm feeling like I needed 3 screens for this. All right. There also was a question about whether the dog had to keep going the same direction after the last obstacle, or if they could duck back inside. They can duck back inside on their way back. Not ideal, but it's acceptable. All right. How do you get the sample or the skills evaluation done? If you go to the NATE website, there is a whole section, menu section on skills. And if members have two options, theoretically, if they happen to be working with a instructor who happens to be a NATE skills evaluator, that person is perfectly fine to evaluate their students' skill sets and say yay or nay as to whether they pass. If you're unlucky and live in perhaps New York and don't have a skills evaluator next door, you can go to the website, and there is a skills evaluator list that you can click on, and it will bring up a whole list of wonderful volunteers who have been blessed to be our evaluators. And pick one and contact them directly via email and say, hey, I think their phone numbers are there too. Would you evaluate these videos for me for skills? And if they are agreeable, you basically upload your videos to your home YouTube page and then send them the link. They will look at them and let you know, yes, they agree that you passed these skills or passed some of these skills. And they will complete a form that is also on the NATE website that comes to me that says this dog has passed these skills. Then the member completes a similar form also on the same website, a skills submission that includes a payment via PayPal, but there is an option to just send in a check, and submits their NATE skills form, and that comes to me. And then our NATE treasurer will let me know when they've received the payment, which is usually instantaneous if it's PayPal. And at that point, when I have all three of those pieces, I go ahead and create these certificates and send them out. If the individual team has finished all 9 of the skills, I also request that a NATE skills ribbon be sent to that individual. And in either case, whether they've completed all 9 skills or not, if on their initial submission they included a photograph, I will put a congratulatory brag on the Treibball website. If they have earned a ribbon, I'll ask in my congratulatory email to them that they wait and send a photo of them with their dog and the ribbon, and I will put the brag up after I receive that. And just underscore here, unlike game videos for judging, skills videos are not submitted directly to NATE. Those remain your property on your own YouTube website. And if you want to be an evaluator, you can do it if you meet the following criteria. You can either be a NATE instructor, which is a whole other process, or you could have earned an advanced title in the standard game in NATE. We'd like to make sure our evaluators are well versed in the game of Treibball. Additionally, with this updated rules, we are now requiring that whoever does the evaluations either has videos demonstrating all 9 skills for their own dog or for their student dogs. And
Question on that.
yes.
Can you use multiple student dogs?
Yes, I don't see a problem if you've got somebody's dog that's nicely gotten through level 1 and somebody else's dog is already competing or got certified at level 3. You can mix and match.
Cool.
And those applications also come to me. And just as a reminder to the evaluators who are currently online, please check the evaluators list table in the website and make sure that your contact information is correct. If you haven't been asked to evaluate recently, that could be one of the reasons. If you've changed email addresses, for instance. I think, yeah, we have reached the end of the official presentation.
I have a question, Sandy.
Yes.
I may have missed it earlier. Are skills evaluations required to be on a regulation field, regulation sized field?
My short answer is no. As long as you've got a 25 by 5 foot, handler box, and you can get your distances, that are needed. I don't think additional width to the field is that critical.
Okay, thanks.
All right, I have a strange question. In my backyard, I have 20 feet by 60 feet of playground tile on the ground. And then I have a fence outside of that. In order for me to have 25 feet, I'm going to be all on my playground tile plus 5 feet of grass. Can I be offset in the handler's box? Or do I have to be dead center?
You can be anywhere in that handler box.
So I just, as long as I set it up so that I have my whole playground tile plus a little bit of grass and I just ignore that grass, that's okay.
I think, it's obviously, I think, more challenging with that setup, but now I think according to the rules that, for instance, on the send, it should be out, we have it centered off the handler box.
Right.
But you as a handler can move anywhere within the handler box.
Okay.
When you get to directional cues, your 3 cones at level 2 and 3 are going to be 20 feet wide.
Yeah.
Because they're 10 feet apart.
So 3 would be dead center and 10 feet on either side.
Either side of it.
20 feet. That's all. That's all on my playground tile. That's all.
And you're still going to have a little working room for the dog to move.
Yeah. Yeah, I can do that. Okay, that's cool. Thank you.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Hi, Chris.
Okay. So when you video and you make it, do you pay for every video that you send to the evaluator or just what you pass at?
My experience has been that evaluators, I don't know of any that actually charge for that service.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So you would only be paying when you do the submission to Nate to get the certificates, and that would be $5 a skill. The evaluators are told that they may or may not charge, but I'm not aware of any that do.
Thank you. It's the same with tricks. They have if you want to give them a tip or whatever considered. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Well, it is.
Okay, one more question then.
One more question. We got about 5 minutes.
Okay, the push. You had it down to 40 feet to push for level 1. What was the level 1 number?
Oh, you'll make me look it up.
Well, I could too, but I thought they ran send and all came out to 15 feet and changed.
It varies. Level 1 push, I just pulled up my thing here again. The ball is at 20 feet from the back of the handler area. So they're pushing basically 15 feet to the handler if you're at the front of the box.
Okay, thank you. That's it for me.
I'd love to hear some more discussion about the benefits to adding that, that 2 to 3 second pause that we added to the rules. Just love to hear some about that.
We used to have, I think it was at least a 2-second rule many years ago. Well, in the 11 years that we've been doing this. And we did away with it. And then what we found is that the dogs, in some cases, weren't stopping long enough for us to really judge, did they hit the mark? Were they aligned properly? And it just made sense to put the 2 to 3 seconds back in there. Also, we want to make sure that as the dogs progress, that they don't just on their own decide they're going to push this ball without waiting for instruction from the handler. That's critically important when you get into snooker and urban herding and balls in order.
Thanks.
Any other questions? All right, well, I thank you all for joining us. And as I said, this will be hopefully on the YouTube website within a week or so. I may edit out a couple of the dull moments where I was trying to switch from video screens. But other than that, it will be pretty much everything we saw.
Sandy, thank you so much for putting this all together. It was really great. Really appreciate it.
Oh,
Yes.
you're very welcome. Thank you.
Yes,
Very
thanks.
informative. Thank you.
Thank you.